Recording in progress.
All right. Call to order the meeting of our Common Council for Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. Clerk?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. We have 12 members in the room voting and 12 members in civic court.
All right. Thank you so much. Now please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for our invocation. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And for our invocation, Alder Hinkfus has requested a moment of quiet contemplation. All right. Thank you. Now on to approval of the minutes. Motion to approve made by Alder DeLee and seconded by Alder Ritterbusch. Any changes? Seeing none, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Approval of the agenda. Motion to approve made by Alder Stevens and seconded by Alder Eck. Any changes here or amendments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that agenda is approved. Report by the mayor. We've got a number of things obviously on the agenda tonight. Comp plan and then some associated zoning reforms that have been brought forward in collaboration with a number of interested groups. But a lot of thanks go to our planning staff for the comp plan, obviously, but also these this list of zoning reforms. I think as anyone who's paid attention to housing prices in the city, the state, the country over the last few years, understands that there's only been one direction, and that's been up. And so I think we're in the position of doing everything we absolutely can within reason to keep those housing costs in check, and working with nonprofits like NeighborWorks and Habitat for Humanity, as well as our home builders and our realtors, and as I said, our internal planning staff here. These are some really solid recommendations that I think have a lot of validity and validation from some of these outside experts. And so would love to adopt them certainly by the end of the year. I know alders, have just maybe gotten these or gotten to wrap their heads around them within recent days, but really hoping that we can get on board with the bulk of them and push them forward, given, the housing crisis that we're all facing here and experiencing in the city of Green Bay. So that's it from me. Turn it over to the council for any announcements. Alder Ritterbusch.
I just want to thank, the city of Green Bay for their increased contribution on the United Way. As a board member, I'm pretty proud of got in the newsletter that there's been an increase. I also want to announce that the United Way has a Centennial Gala Saturday, November 8th at Lambeau Field. You can buy tickets on the website, the United Way website. I'd love to see some of my fellow council members be there and support. It's not often you get a nonprofit that's in the in the area for 100 years doing the things that they do for our residents in Brown County. So that's all. Thank you.
Absolutely. Great organization. Other announcements? Seeing none, we'll move along to recognitions and awards. We've got a couple of fun ones tonight. 2 awards. One, the Green Bay Metro Fire Department received the First Responder of the Year award. Oh, sorry. Skipped ahead. Wanted to get to the awards, but we've got another important item recognizing our newest neighborhood association. So that is Badger Tracks Neighborhood Association, formed on September 22nd, 2025. This is Green Bay's 50th neighborhood association. So Badger Tracks is a brand new association that came into being after a block party held by the city back in August. The area of the association is from Military Avenue to Taylor and West Mason to Shawano. So congratulations to Badger Tracks Neighborhood Association. If you all would like to come up, I think Michael was hoping to present the resolution and take a quick picture. Thank you. 3 or 4 down here. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Up on top. Kind of want to go stand up on top there. You're like, get everybody in.
We're going up on top.
Yeah, there we go. Get this out of the way a little bit.
You don't want to be
Yes.
Come on up, Michelle. Can we get Michelle in here?
Oh, yeah. Come on in. Oh, you got the resolution. Yeah, right here. Yes. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Congratulations again. And thanks to Tony and Will and the whole CED staff who've been active in creating many of these neighborhood associations. Next is the recognitions and awards section I was so eager to get to. The Green Bay Fire Department received the First Responder of the Year award thanks to Representative Ryan Spouty for their unwavering dedication during the 2025 National Football League's draft. Thanks to their preparation, professionalism, and tireless efforts, the event concluded without any major incidents. Attendees consistently praised the department, thanked firefighters, and shared their appreciation for the safe and welcoming atmosphere. So congratulations on that award, Chief. If you wanted to accept it, maybe say a few words.
I just want to reiterate congratulations to the department. Every year, the Wisconsin State Assembly recognizes, each assembly member can choose to recognize an entity in their district, whether it's a person or department. And when Chief submitted recognition for the whole department for their work on the draft, I thought to myself, that's the one. We're going to go with that. They do incredible work day in and day out to prevent and respond to fires. They also had the extra lift this year, and I just really do appreciate the work that they do. I had the chance yesterday. I actually went to Station 4. I got to go up, got to see the ladder truck, and actually was in the basket, if that's the right word. I went up 100 feet up in the air, and I realized this is not a job for me. I couldn't do this. And it just reiterated in my mind how much respect and thanks I have for the work that they do. So with that, congratulations again to the whole department. Matt, Eric, if either of you wanted to speak.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you. I just want to say thank you for this award and thank you for the recognition. Again, this is an award for our entire department. We have quite a few of our members here, and we're just so proud of them and all the work that we did for this draft, but also for each and every day. So I'd like to introduce Battalion Chief Eric Jeltima, who's also going to say a few words.
I just also want to say thank you to the council, the mayor, for all your support, the department. This whole group here is just a small amount of the people that helped in the planning process. Our partners at the police department, Ashwaubenon, public safety, Brown County Sheriffs, and Brown County Emergency Management were all part of the group of the planning. Together, we planned a good process and had a great event. So it was a teamwork. Truly, I was the head of it, but it was truly a team. So recognition goes to everybody. And then I also want to say thank you to the families of all of us that had to deal with us day in and day out. They don't get to deal with us when all the good goes. They get to deal with the bad. So thank you to all of them. Thank you very much.
Michael, do we want to do a big group?
Yeah, we get all the firefighters.
Oh, there we
Same
go.
thing. We'll do some in front.
Hey, Chief, can you make sure he's invited to fire ops next time? Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's like the double tank. Yeah, you bet. Yeah, the steel tanks.
The burning building.
Yeah. Yeah. So short. That's my plan.
Mayor, for letting us join you.
No, of course.
Thanks for recognizing the guys. We got little shy people. Everybody. Tony, come on, guys.
The short guys up front.
You can balance it out. You guys
Like here?
Want to hop over this side?
Yeah, I can.
Come Yeah, I don't know. Let's go here. No, look, actually, short. All right. All right, very worthy recognition, and as council understands, this was not just a 3-4 day commitment. This was something that was planned for more than a year in advance, and so a lot of time and effort went into that. So, worthy recognition. Next, we've got the Wisconsin State Assembly again, First Responder of the Year program honoring exceptional police officers, firefighters, EMS personnel, and other emergency responders from across the state. In this case, Representative Ahmad Rivera Wagner is recognizing Officer Saltzman and Pyro, who were selected honoring their service, dedication, and sacrifice, and in recognition of Pyro's upcoming retirement. So with that, Representative, Officer Saltzman, and Pyro.
Pyro is very excited to be here. And so many of you may know, hi, everyone, Ahmad Rivera Wagner, representative for the 90th. Many of you may know that Pyro is one of our officers that was hurt in the line of duty, was able to recover, and was able to return to service for nearly 6-7 years. And now he is retiring from our ranks. And so that is a dedication both to his handler, Officer Saltzman, but also a testament to the kind of spirit that we have in Green Bay where we take care of each other even when it's hard. And so I'm just grateful that we were able to keep this officer on the force. And this is a great honor to the city of Green Bay and all the people that support the McLaren Common Council and our mayor. And so I'll turn it over to Officer Saltzman for a few words.
Yeah. First and foremost, I just wanted to say thank you. As we stand here and humbly accept this award, not necessarily knowing that we deserve it, but also wanting to give recognition to not only K9 Pyro, but all of our canines in the city of Green Bay. We're a unit collectively. We all work together. We all train together, and there's 5 other people up here that could be getting this award that are deserving as well. So I would like to accept it on behalf of K9 Pyro, but also on behalf of the entire Green Bay Police Department K9 unit. Every one of those guys should be up here, and they all deserve it. So humbly, I respectfully say thank you. And someday, hopefully, all of us can get that award. He'll be 9 in a month.
Where does he go once he retires?
Oh, he'll come home with me.
Good, good, I'm glad.
Yeah, he'll get spoiled for sure. The wife and kids will definitely take care of him. So, yeah, he deserves it. Right, buddy?
Beautiful.
Hi, I'm Captain Denny, and I have the honor of overseeing the unit that Officer Saltzman and Pyro work in. And I think we all know the incident that Officer Saltzman and Pyro were involved in years ago, and obviously they showed exemplary skill, bravery, and calm under pressure. But what many of us don't get to see is that they show the same level of skill and bravery day in and day out, and the commitment that Officer Saltzman has shown to Pyro and shown to the unit is what leads to their success. It's regular training multiple times a month. It's responding to canine calls out on the road. It's putting in extra training time, both on his own time and on the road, caring for Pyro when he's at home, bringing Pyro to the vet. None of this could happen without Officer Saltzman's commitment. So I'd like to recognize Scott for that. He's a very humble man, and I admire that, but Scott does deserve some recognition here. The second thing I'd like to say is I'd just like to say thank you to the city of Green Bay for your support for the canine program. These things don't come without your support. the obvious one would be financially. I'd also like to recognize our community partners. We enjoy a lot of support from the community at large, both financial and otherwise, and none of this could happen without them. So thank you to you, and thank you to our partners in the community for making this happen.
Where do you want us?
I was thinking kind of just coming in front of the.
All right. Well, thanks again to Officer Saltzman and all of our canines and handlers doing great work for the city of Green Bay every single day. Next, we have reappointments. We've got one reappointment. Motion to approve by Alder Stevens and seconded by Alder Profit. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the reappointment is made. Next, we have a public hearing. Public hearing on a request to adopt the Go Big Green Bay 2050 Comprehensive Plan, submitted by the Green Bay Department of Community and Economic Development. So this is the point in our program where anybody who has any comments on the comp plan can feel free to step up to the podium and let us know what you think. So I know we have at least, there we go, Mr. Halverson and then Mr. Kirschling.
Thank you. I'm Noel Halverson, President and CEO at NeighborWorks Green Bay and a former local government planner with both the City of Green Bay and Brown County. And I had the pleasure of being asked for input on this planning process and contributed a few comments and some feedback from both a development perspective and affordable housing perspective and other ways of looking at this. And I just think it's a great plan. Really appreciate the work that everybody's put into this. And I think it'll be an excellent tool to guide future growth in the city. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, sir.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Greg Kirschling. I'm in Kathy Hinkfus's district, live on the west side of Green Bay. And I'm I'm one of Green Bay's representatives on the Brown County Planning Commission. And I also work with the Friends of the Fox River Trail. And I'm here to talk a little bit about biking tonight and trails that we have in Green Bay. Specifically, the biking plan in the Go Big Green Bay plan looks very, very good and very, very ambitious. However, I think there's one thing that was overlooked, and I'd just like to draw attention to that today. We need to look outside of our city borders to see what comes into Green Bay. Green Bay is the hub. It's been historically the hub and economic center of the whole Northeast Wisconsin. Everything runs through the hub in Green Bay, and the spokes are all the other trails. Right now, they're not connected. One of the things, the big reason why I'm here tonight is I wanted to talk about the one that was overlooked. There's the 2030 plan as far as the South Bridge bridge development south of De Pere is going to be going over the south of De Pere, 3 trails on the east side of Green Bay, the Green Bay area, the one along GV, the East River Trail, Barrett's Creek Trail, and also the Fox River Trail are going to connect to that on the east side. There's going to be a bike lane, a bike path that goes on one side of that bridge all the way over to the west side to Packerland Drive where it terminates over there. Once you get that Schwaben on, there is a bike trail that goes along Packerland Drive from the south city limits near the Ice Center all the way to Cormier Road, the Green Bay city limits. From the Green Bay city limits to Southwest High School and Mason Street, there's a sidewalk. Once you get across that street between there and Howard, there's nothing. In Howard, it continues to a paved trail from the Highway 29 interchange all the way to the Mountain Bay Trail and other trail opportunities in the village of Howard. That one section between Mason Street and between Highway 29, there's no sidewalk, there's no trail, and it's really an opportunity for us to highlight that area and make that, Green Bay really isn't known to be a biking destination right now. because we have 3 great state trails in the county, and 2 just outside of the county, and one that we could possibly develop in the future in Oneida that goes through Duck Creek on the old Green Bay and Western Railroad area. If we continue that trail down Packerland Drive, it could connect to the industrial park, retail areas, NWTC, Pampern Park, and the future Duck Creek Trail as well too, as well as Howard and getting over to the Mountain Bay Trail. So what I'm asking is just that this oversight, this may have been overlooked, is offered in this plan as well too. So at least us as a body and us as citizens of Green Bay can connect these things and have a West Side Trail, which we currently do not have on the West Side. There's a short one, that Edinger Trail, that goes from Oneida Street to Bond, but it doesn't connect to anything. We have the opportunity here to have a trail from the South Bridge, New Bridge, all the way to the Mountain Bay Trail, something that the West Side desperately needs, and the city of Green Bay desperately needs, so we can become a biking destination for bike tourists that come from out of town. It would help with commuting. It would help with people to get to work and to school. So with that, thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, yes.
Alderich.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to make sure I'm getting it. So connecting from Packerland after Cormier and then to where Howard is on Packerland.
Currently, there's a sidewalk that goes from Cormier Road all the way to West Mason Street.
Okay.
Once you get to West Mason Street, there's nothing between West Mason Street and the Highway 29,
Okay.
where Highway 29 and the roundabouts. Although there is a frontage road in the Howard Village line to get there. But there's nothing in the city of Green Bay. The only sidewalk is in front of the post office.
Okay, so what your request is basically between West Mason and Highway 29.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
In the city of Green Bay. That connects the two.
Alder Galvin.
Mr. Kirschling, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good.
I'm looking at the map, and you mentioned that short trail, Ender's. I think it's named after that military. Edinger?
The Edinger Trail?
Yeah. That was originally my understanding, and it looks like it was one. It's a rails to trail, and that was supposed to hook all the way up to the Mountain Bay Trail. And my understanding is we've got most of it done within the city of Green Bay, but there would have to be some work done on the county level to get that to reach all the way up there.
Yeah, I was talking to the vice chairman of the Brown County Planning Commission, who used to be the planner for Green Bay, who
Sure.
used to be and he said they have, with Keller School being closed in the near future, there is an opportunity to continue that trail, and there is an abandoned railroad trail that would go there.
Right.
So that would be nice to see that one continue a little bit farther.
All right. Thank you.
But at this time, we've got this beautiful downtown, beautiful Broadway area that's under redevelopment. It's not connected to any of our other trails.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a big biker, love all the trails we have, but it would be neat to see all of them connected so you could actually go on a trip and cover the whole city.
Oh, yeah, and that Connect the Bay program that we have going on right now, it would be nice to connect that to the other trails that we have too. So we could become a biking destination, and it has great economic implications as well too. Just as an aside, my wife and my neighbors and I go on a bike trip out to Boulder Junction every year. In Vilas County, they have 57 miles of paved trails, off-road trails. And this past year, when we were in Boulder Junction at night, it's not that big if you've been there. We were taking a walk after dinner. There's 3 hotels there, and I counted out the vehicles that had bike racks on them. 40% of the vehicles parked in those 3 hotels had bike racks on them. This is something we're missing out in Green Bay. Green Bay should be a biking destination like Madison. Green Bay should be a biking destination like Milwaukee, like Eau Claire, like Stevens Point and the Green Circle Trail. Right now it's not being promoted very much, but once we connect all our trails, we have that opportunity. Just look at the Packers and what they did at the draft. They're riding bicycles around on the stage. The commissioner was with Mark Murphy, and the kids ride them for training camp. But the kids don't have a way to get their bikes safely to Lambeau Field because we don't have the infrastructure for it. But this is a great opportunity for us, and it will really make our name in the biking community throughout the United States.
Any other questions for our guest? All right. Thanks so much, Mr.
If anyone else has any questions, wants to meet individually, Kathy has all my contact information, or the Green Bay Planning Commission. My information is there too. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Sundstrom, and I'm with the Northeast Realtors Association. And I am here speaking on behalf of our approximately 900 members who reside and work in Brown County. And I am here to support the comprehensive plan update and the very critical amendments to the zoning and subdivision codes. Normally, I would be rattling off housing statistics, but I think that most people are aware of the current housing crisis. But I think we've gotten a little desensitized to all the numbers, and while they're important, we can't lose sight of the impact on actual people. My members, thankfully, keep me very grounded in this fact every day, contacting me and telling me about their clients, ages 25 to 75, who literally break down in front of them sobbing on a regular basis because they don't know what they are going to do for housing and watching their economic futures unravel. We are witnessing the first generation ever to lose hope of ever being able to become homeowners. The average age of the first-time homebuyer has increased 10 years to an average of 40 years old. The number of people who are homeless or housing insecure is rising every single day. Waiting for decreases in home values or dramatic drops in interest rates to solve this problem would be a horrible mistake. There is only one way out of this. We have to make up for the significant underbuilding in the last decade and try to do it in a way that creates much larger diversity of housing options and at lower price points. The gap between what it costs to build and what the average person can afford is almost becoming insurmountable. Changing how we do development is the only option. Communities across the country, Wisconsin and Northeast Wisconsin, are attempting to do this. However, what you have before you goes beyond the minimum Band-Aid tweaks. It is visionary, but it's not new. It provides for the possibility of once again creating a community of neighborhoods with people who represent all of us. The kind of development we used to do before zoning became a tool to create racial segregation and our now more common economic segregation that is completely dividing us and making it impossible to provide housing for everyone. These changes provide the flexibility that developers and builders need to draw them to Green Bay and to start chipping away at our housing shortage. It took wisdom to develop and propose these changes, and it will take courage to adopt them and to start restoring hope that the American dream is not just for a privileged few. I want to thank all of you and all of the work of the staff and the collaboration that went into these updates and plans for a better future for Green Bay. Thank you.
Thanks so much for your testimony. Any questions? All right, thank you. Anyone else on the comp plan? Anyone else? All right. Thanks again for the testimony. Next, we have ordinances, second reading for adoption. All right, we have a motion to suspend the rules from Alder Profit to take up these items with one roll call vote with the exception of item 4. Is there a second? Seconded by Alder Presley. All in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The rules are suspended. Motion to adopt made by Alder Profit, seconded by Alder DeLee. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll use the board. right, and that has been adopted unanimously. Oh, said 12-0.
Okay, you may vote now. Do you see it? Okay, now. Oh, and now. Okay. And Mr. Morgan?
All right, now those have been adopted unanimously. On to item 4. Attorney Kochart, did you? Attorney Kochart, you want to give us some guidance on item 4?
So I was just noting with the mayor this side conversation about our notice, and I just wanted to confirm, and which Community and Economic Development can confirm, that the comprehensive plan is published on the city's website and has provided extensively in public notice and made available to the public. And if so, we can proceed.
So there was just some back and forth and some concern that it wasn't noticed properly, but Attorney Kochart confirming that it has been, so that's a good thing. Alder Profit.
So given Mr. Kirschling's testimony, I do have one thought and proposal to add. Either, and I would look to staff for, the endless insight they have and knowledge of this awesome plan that they put together for us. But either page, I was looking at 45, really just the last paragraph on 45 where it talks about expanding the city's bike network, to add a blurb about including, connecting to other municipalities and the framework that they have in place. Or on page 46, under recommendation number 5, where it says continue to implement our safe walk and bike plan to prioritize, and it talks about different locations, but perhaps include language about connecting to other municipalities within that section. So would look to staff to see if they have a preference, but I think it would be good to add some language about connecting those to other municipality lines, which I think I just said for a third time, but I think we got it.
Mr. Bach?
Yeah, definitely we could add those on page 45 and page 46. The other place you may want to take a look, if you're going off of the comment from the speaker, is page 67, which has Packerland Drive on it. So you could connect that through the city. If you wanted to show it on that map, you could also do that. So I believe the speaker was talking about connecting from Packerland in Howard down to Packerland in Ashwaubenon. And so that's a kind of, not a straight shot, but, and that's highlighted. We could put it on this map as an active transportation corridor. So just throw that out there.
Yeah, I would be in favor of adding it on that map too, specifically just addressing the Packerland one. But I do think just as bikes lanes grow in the city, there might be opportunity in other areas as well. So I think it'd be worth adding it in both spots because we want to be a destination bike hub. At least I do. I think that'd be awesome.
So is that
Amendment to include all three. Why not? Go for the trifecta. So 46, 45, 46, and 67 to include all that.
Seconded by Alder Eck. Further discussion on that amendment? Seeing none, all in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that amendment has been adopted. Other comments on the ordinance? Alder Grant. Yeah, it's on.
Okay, thank you. I just have one other amendment, also kind of going off of another speaker here tonight, but also have talked to staff prior to tonight about this. I'd like to amend to review language regarding incentives and possible city funding sources for infrastructure for new housing projects. I think we talk about mixed housing quite a bit, but I think there's some thought we can put into to help developers even with home ownership, single family homes, things like that to promote. We have tips, things like that for multifamily, but I think to have a well-rounded plan, we should look at possibly what other municipalities are doing to help with either upfront costs and things like that. So I would like to add the first part, but that's my explanation.
What was that language again? I'm sorry.
Yep. Amend to review language regarding incentives and possible city funding sources for infrastructure for new housing projects.
Seconded by Alder Johnson. Any comments from staff on that? Director?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. We've talked about those incentives in the past, so we'd have no problem putting that in there.
Okay, great. So there was an amendment and a second. Any additional comments? Seeing none, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that amendment is approved. Anything else? Alder Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to start by commending staff. I mean, you guys really did a bang-up job on something that can be incredibly complex and obviously having a really long-term effect on our city. So really kudos. And I think a lot of the amendments you have either today or within the document are really just, kind of microcosms of obviously a very broad effort that's been put into this. So thank you. Couple things that maybe I just wanted to inquire about. There was on the last page of amendments, the piece around incentivize small infill development. It was the comment that I had made about line 55. One of the things that this was the comment that came out, I think, when we did the council workshop on this. And one of the things that I just wanted to clarify is that when I was referencing incentives, I wasn't speaking exclusively about financial incentives. Certainly within the city, TIF can obviously be the default mechanism that we oftentimes use, but sometimes I think there are other tools that we could potentially deploy to help some of these things along. Knowing that the comp plan doesn't need to get into the specifics or the details of that, I just wanted to make sure that it was understood by staff that I was really hoping we could be more encompassing with what incentives means. By using all available tools at the city's discretion. So again, I don't know how within the plan, right, if you actually want to articulate examples or if you want to leave that more broad.
Mr. Buck.
Generally, we like to leave everything in the comp plan really broad. You don't know what grants are going to be out there, what incentive the city can provide, and those change over time pretty frequently. So we don't like to get down in the weeds with calling out specifics, but we can if you want to call a few examples out, such as maybe.
Yeah, maybe the request that I would have, and I don't think it would necessarily require an amendment, just when you do submit this to our consultant, the clarifying language that it can be financial incentives or other tools that can really help developers bring those projects to fruition. I wanted to kind of get your take, and I think it was addressed a little bit around design standards. But I want to be sure that if I missed it, you kind of called out lighting and benches and those kind of things. But one of the things in particular that I want us to be contemplating is design standards around public infrastructure projects. And you kind of allude to it a little bit in some different areas, but I think that's an area when you think about really, really great communities, design matters, and having communities and cities that aren't concrete jungles, and can incorporate other elements to help kind of soften some of those things. I would love for us to be able to explore some of those alternatives. And Director Drusen, I know that's certainly in your area, in your wheelhouse a little bit, and knowing we don't have to define it, I just really want to make sure that we're open to emphasizing that when we do public infrastructure projects, that design is prioritized just as high within that contemplation as the functionality of the project as well. So I don't know if does that reference that anywhere in the plan where I may have missed it? And do we have maybe that's even a more poignant question is, do we have any type of design review process internally? Because again, engineers are going to design what's functional, right? But do other staff review it from a design aesthetic perspective?
That's maybe a better question for Valerie or, Director Houston or Director Renyer-Wig. But we often look at public infrastructure projects up in planning. I don't know if, I think it's just collaboration between the departments. I don't know if it's official or formal.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments from either director?
We review the plans and make recommendations, and we work with Public Works to do the things that we can do. So, I'm not sure about your processes in your department, but we talk amongst ourselves on these things.
For compliance with the ordinances, functionality, but I believe in developer agreements, they cover some of that as far as, lighting and public art. So I think some of that is covered in the developers agreements.
Okay, and I think I'd still prefer that we maybe elevate the importance of it within that process, and knowing that we don't have to get too in the weeds with it. I do think it's worth a sentence or two to talk about the importance of design in all of our major infrastructure projects in the city. So I would make a motion that we add that somewhere in the plan where staff thinks it best belongs.
And just to clarify, it's sort of setting some kind of design standards associated with public infrastructure projects, or
I don't think we necessarily have to establish design standards, though that's certainly a possibility. But I do think some type of design review process.
got a design review process for public infrastructure. Is there a second for that? Seconded by Alderek. Further discussion? All in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. It's adopted.
At the workshop as well, David, we had talked about Veterans Park and park swap potentially to kind of free up that land. Right now, future land use is obviously maintaining it as park land. I don't know if you had an opportunity to have any internal discussions, or even if Director Ditchett, I don't think you were at that workshop, even if you've got any feedback or opinions on that, just to put us in a position to see, I guess, better activation along that near west side, along the waterfront.
Yes, I wasn't involved with that at that meeting, but it's something that we could consider. I wouldn't object to it.
Okay, then I would make a motion that we, again, where staff finds it to be the most appropriate spot, that we contemplate what a park swap would look like. The intent of that, again, is to actually elevate the visibility of that park in recognition of our veterans and their service to our community. But then also, it would free up that land for alternative uses, which to me would be in alignment with the zoning code that surrounds it, which I believe is D1.
Yeah, could you explain that a little bit more, Alder, as far as what you're envisioning with the land swap? Or
Yeah, I mean, this has been kind of called out in some other sub-plans that we've had, but the broad idea of seeing more appropriate development on that site, that because right now it's just kind of empty and not utilized or activated very well. It's not even very visible. A lot of people in our community, if you ask them about that park, they don't even realize it exists. And so the idea is that we could potentially create something that's more visible to honor and recognize our veterans while freeing up that parcel for other types of development or other uses that might be more appropriate with the surrounding area. Especially knowing now that Light Park and the Shipyard are obviously major waterfront investment parks that we've made. So the investment in public spaces has been pretty substantial in that corridor.
Veterans Park? Yeah, next to the Neville. Other comments? Alder Prophet?
Is that level of specificity something that's typically included in a comp plan? Because when I think parks and however many we have, I mean, there's certainly opportunity to talk about a lot of parks. I guess I'm just looking for staff's feedback as to if that level of specificity is something we typically see within a comp plan document.
Yeah, good question. Mr. Buck?
Thank you, Alders. Yeah, you could put that in there. It could be that specific. What this plan does to keep it shorter is we refer primarily to the parks plan, which is updated every 5 years. I think it was just updated this past year, so it's brand new. So we're not reinventing the wheel, and we also don't like to do conflicts between council adopted plans. But I mean, you could put it in here to say Veterans Park should be rehabbed and space freed up if you wanted to. I would suggest putting it in that district, that planning district, if that's what you decide to do. But generally what you're going to find for parks is we're going to be referring back to parks plan, and even the maps in here most likely came out of the parks plan.
It's partially future land use as well.
And the future land use, yeah.
So the intention is to not have it parks for future land use?
That particular one, that's the purpose of the land swap. So you're not just eliminating it, putting it in a better location while taking that land and getting a higher and better use out of it.
Okay. And you don't feel like that's adequately addressed in the section already where it talks about, I just was looking at it. I don't know. I just personally feel like that's getting pretty specific, and I would, in other sections of this document, we refer back to like the safe bike and ped plan, the open spaces, and since parks plan was just approved, it's just my preference. I would rather see that we don't get that specific.
Thanks, Alder. The only thing that I was thinking is, we've got the waterfront plan that you've requested, Alder Johnson, that I know staff is working on. I think are we close to doing an RFP on that? Either way, that's something that will be happening in the relatively near future. This is a waterfront park, obviously. So just wanted to note that. Any other? Yeah, Alder Johnson.
I'm just going to reinforce again that I appreciate Alder Prophet's point. I do think there are many examples throughout the plan where we do get that specific. And I think that's a pretty significant shift that would help. If it's adopted in this document, it influences a waterfront plan. That's what they're going to look to, right? So I stand behind the motion. I'd like to see that change. Let's go from there.
Other comments on that? Oh, there hasn't been a second on that yet. Seconded by Alder Grant. Last thing I'll say, I swear. Alder Johnson referenced, making sure that whatever happens is kind of an elevation of recognition of veterans in the community. I would just, want to make sure that it's done in a spirit of collaboration as well with our veterans groups. So again, the question of specificity, it's a little tricky to capture that in a document like this, but I guess I just want to go on the record in saying that if the city were to ever change the use of that park while I'm mayor, we'd definitely be collaborating with our veterans groups in doing so. So just wanted to state that, I guess. Any other comments? Alder Eck?
Thank you, Mayor. So yes, I do want to make sure, when you say land swap, is there another location you have in mind for putting that?
No, and I think that's the specificity that I don't think we
Right.
need to fix today. But
Okay.
to me, it's acknowledging as well that right now we're doing a disservice of honoring our veterans by having this memorial in a park that few people know exists. Right. I think there's an opportunity to elevate both.
Okay. I just want to, I do want to make sure that it does happen. And so just kind of getting an idea, and I guess it would be up to staff to sort of figure it out where it would be a good place to put it that would elevate it. So thank you.
Any other comments on that? Oh, staff, who wants to go? Mr. Buck.
Yeah, so I just wanted to confirm before you make the decision. So we would change the land use map from parks to downtown, I'm assuming. So what's everything that's around it. And we get to the downtown district, we could add text basically saying better activate and beautify the Veterans Park area, freeing up land for other uses. This will probably supersede the parks plan. So
I can work with Director Ditchite, maybe offer an amendment to that plan, just if the desire is to keep those in sync or in alignment.
Any other comments? Director Renier Wig and then Alder Presley.
I'm just wondering if that language should be more of a consider that, because I'm not aware, like I haven't worked with the vets yet to determine whether or not this park is important to the vets, where it's located, if there's a history behind that. That makes me a little nervous to actually put that in as a directive compared to a consider, right? Consider that option of potentially relocating that, right? I understand your concept and why that want to work, but I just,
I want to be clear. I don't feel this needs to be written as a directive, right? I mean, there's plenty of things in here that talk about like address this or contemplate that. I'm giving you discretion on the best way
write
to
the
word it.
wording.
Yep.
Perfect, thank you.
And just to kind of echo what the director was saying, I guess the thing that gives me pause after Mr. Buck speaking is the rezoning of that property, sort of clearly indicates that we don't want it to be a park. And I don't know if I certainly haven't made that decision. Whether or not the council has, obviously another thing.
We're not rezoning though, right? We're
Well,
talking about future land use.
Yeah, yes, that's a good point. But changing the land use designation in our plan from parks to downtown, I don't know that I'm ready for that. Alder Presley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I don't know if I'm ready to make that decision right now. We can do an amendment later, but this seems like we haven't had all of the people who need to weigh in on this, and I'd rather not surprise people by saying this park, we're not planning for it to be a park in the future based on this document, based on this decision right now. So I'm not going to be in favor of this right now.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I just want to close with
Alder
one
Johnson.
There's a lot of stuff in this thing I'm not in favor of, and I'm going to vote for the plan. Right? Like nobody's going to get 100%. I think of what they want out of this plan, and I think we need to acknowledge that. And nothing is being implemented in this plan that doesn't come through this body as a policy. So this is kind of you're establishing a vision in terms of what you want to strive for, and this park swap is not new. This is something that has been proposed in other plans. That I'd have to pull them out to find the exact one, the exact location, but it is something that has been proposed previously and adopted in other plans. So I just want to clarify that it's not something that's coming out of nowhere, out of the blue. It has been something that's been contemplated, and obviously this is the appropriate time to put it into that larger plan as opposed to residing in a smaller one. So,
Any other comments? Alderek?
Thank you, Mayor. So based on Director Ditchite's willingness and, to work this out, I mean, I think it's a possible thing to do. And it could be added later. So, it's not like tonight, if we vote one way or the other, it's written in stone because we can make an amendment later. So that's really clear, isn't it? We can do both. But the fact that Director Ditchite is open to it, I think that's a positive. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? All right. Everyone in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Use the board. And this is on the amendment. You want to state that for us, Mr. Buck?
Sure, it'd be amendment to the future land use map on page 13 and the text and the map on page 75 to investigate better activating, beautifying the Veterans Park area, freeing up land for other uses. Is that correct? I didn't get to that's what I wrote down.
yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, does the language need to have exactness right now? I think we understand the spirit because it's the consultant that's going to reword all of these, right?
Yep. I just want to make sure that I'm hearing what you're saying correctly. And there is a comment I could add. It's hard to flip through this whole thing as we're going through, but so the land use map shows it as parks property, but parks are permitted use downtown. So if you designated the future land use as downtown, parks are still permitted as a use downtown. So you could still have the park there and have it a downtown future land use.
I think with a caveat, and I'm just bringing up Brown Dog to verify, I believe that parcel is owned by the RDA, is it not? And that's kind of another big distinction for me in terms of why I'm making the amendment.
So
Clerk?
Just in terms of voting. I think you're voting. Does everyone still see the voting panel? Because I have 9 people who voted. So, okay, let me cancel this vote. And let me start it again. Do you see it? Okay. And one more person has to vote. Thank you.
And that fails 6-6. Any other comments, amendments? Alder Presley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to make an amendment to page 43 to add a paragraph about how green stormwater infrastructure can be implemented alongside complete streets. This was something I talked to Mr. Buck about. There are already in the recommendations a mention of green streets within the public right-of-way, but I think when we're explaining the concept in here of complete streets, I think there can be more mention of how green stormwater infrastructure goes into that. It's a small change, but just looking at how we build our streets more holistically.
All right. Is there a second for that? Second by Alder Prophet. Any comments on that, Mr. Buck? Excuse me.
No, I had talked to Alder Presley earlier this week, and yeah, so it is in the recommendations, but it's not specifically spelled out exactly what that is in the text, so it would be easy to put in a 2-3 sentence paragraph just explaining what it is. Okay. But it is in the recommendations already, so.
Okay. And I should remember this, but are there references to the green stormwater infrastructure plan in the plan?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other comments? All right. All in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that is approved. Alderich, were you seeking recognition? Or just moving your arm? Okay. Sounds good. Anybody else with amendments or comments? All right. So we've adopted a fair number of amendments. Entertain motion to adopt as amended, made by Alder Prophet and seconded by Alder Ritterbusch. Looks like Mr. Buck wants something, and then Alder Johnson.
Yes, I just wanted to say when we had the workshop last meeting, there's a number of other amendments that council kind of agreed upon. I don't think we need to go through them one at a time, but we also want to change these as well, or amend as the council had determined at that workshop.
Right. So want a motion on that as well?
If you would, that would help.
Yeah. Alder Prophet makes a motion to adopt staff recommendations, seconded by Alder Stevens. All in favor will say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Those changes are adopted. Motion to adopt is amended, made by Alder Prophet and seconded by Alder DeLee. Discussion on that. Alder Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I kind of alluded to it before, right? There's certainly some things in here that I don't necessarily agree with, but kind of as the old saying goes, that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and I do think it's a really good plan. The one thing though that Mr. Buck and I had discussed earlier today, because I had a few folks that asked me about this, we have exact language in front of us on the plan right now. The amendments are not exact language, so it kind of creates this interesting conundrum. I think after we talked a little bit earlier today, I told David that I was comfortable with saying, hey, let's approve it as is, recognizing that if any of the language that's in here came back and was put into the plan in a way that anybody did not agree with, you can independently bring a communication forward and request an edit to the comp plan. I think I prefer personally that we move forward with adopting it and give staff the discretion around how the amendments are incorporated, but also encouraging everybody that when the final product comes out, I don't know, is it possible to get a red line version? Is that easy?
We can ask the consultant. It's a little difficult with a
graphics
plan
and
that's
everything.
formatted this way to do
Yeah.
red line because it moves all the images around and it.
And that's okay. I think the broader point though is just I would encourage everybody to obviously when it does come out to give it another review and not just rely exclusively on the draft that was before you. So.
Sure. And what we could do is we could keep this table going with the ones that you have approved, and then write the language on the side so you don't have to flip through the whole thing. So you can see the language and then it'll reference the page where it's at. So once it's adopted and you have it, and then if there's issues, you could come back and do an amendment.
Great. Right. Well said. Anything else? Final comments? All right. We will use the board. right, that plan is adopted unanimously. Yes. Thanks again to staff for all the work devoted to this, as well as so many, literally hundreds of community members spending a lot of time and effort crafting this document, and numerous hours spent by council as well. So appreciate everyone who's involved in that. Next, we have the report of the Improvement and Services Committee. Motion to approve by Alder DeLee and seconded by Alder Eck. Items here to be handled separately. One. Any others? Hearing none others, all in favor of approving the remainder of the report will signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The report has been approved with the exception of item 1. Your wishes on that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make an amendment to that to approve the request by Department of Public Works to award the contract for traffic signal repair 2025 to Bodart Electric Service Incorporated in the amount of $416,620. The reason for that is that there was an alternate bid item on that I was made aware of by the Director Joost, and she can speak more to it. That makes sense to award the total bid in addition, or that the base bid and the alternate bid item.
Okay. Is there a second for that? Second by Alder Profit. On that, Director?
So there was an alternate bid for conduit to interconnect the signals, and when it was put forward to INS, it didn't include the alternate bid, but the department would like to award to include the alternate bid.
Okay, got it. And obviously there's sufficient funding to
Yes.
do so. Great, thank you. All right, any other comments on that? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amendment is successful. Motion to approve is amended made by Alder Presley, seconded by Alder Profit. Discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that item has been approved as amended. Protection and Policy Committee. Motion to approve made by Alder Profit, seconded by Alder Stevens. Items here to be handled separately. Item 3, any others? Hearing none others, all in favor of approving the remainder of that report, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The report has been approved, the exception of item 3. Your wishes on that, Alder Hutchison.
Okay, this was held in the Plan Commission meeting because there was a misstated application, and I would like to ask the clerk, have you received the revised application with an appropriate date?
Yes, so the applicant made a license amendment due to some fairly serious construction at his building. So his old license did not conform to his current building. So we had tried to cleave in between what would be best for the license holder as well as adhere to the law, and asked him to submit a license amendment. He did do that. He put the wrong date on it. I do have, it's not in your packet. He did give it to me this evening. So I would consider that submitted. So I do have a license amendment with the appropriate date of 9/30/2025 instead of 9/30/2026.
Okay, is there any reason to open the floor? No? Okay, so then I'd ask the question, I'd make the amendment to approve.
All right, Alder Hutchison makes a motion to approve. That was seconded by Alder Johnson on that motion. Anything from committee? Or? Alder Profit.
So just a clarification for the clerk. Wasn't the date like the day that the applicant signed it? So wouldn't today's date actually be the appropriate date to sign it if you received it today, not past dating a signature?
That is actually a very good point. I mean, when we had discussed it, it was the 2026. He did submit it on the 30th of September.
I know we question this because of the legality of it. So again, would like just maybe like the attorney to weigh in on, because that's the portion that I'm looking at is like the day that the applicant is signing it. So if it was completed today, shouldn't it not be 9:30?
It should be 10:21.
Attorney Cochard, anything on that?
Yes.
I haven't actually had a chance to review the amendments, but I can look at it now.
9:30. Yeah.
I think it could be corrected. I believe the applicant attended the meeting, or it could be corrected tomorrow.
For 1022 is it's sounding like you would like the amendment to be corrected for the date, which is 1022.
I would
Okay.
like it to be the correct date.
We can make that happen.
You could approve it subject to that correction.
Okay.
Yes.
I would offer an amendment that be a condition on the approval.
Okay, Alder Prophet makes an amendment to condition the approval on that date change. Seconded by Alder Stevens. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. So we have motion to approve as amended, made by Alder Prophet. Seconded by Alder Stevens. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. That item has been approved as amended. Report of the Green Bay Police Department granting operator licenses. Motion to approve made by Alder Prophet, seconded by Alder Ritterbusch. Any abstentions or names to be handled separately? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. That report has been approved. Plan Commission. Motion to approve made by Alder Prophet, seconded by Alder Hinkfist. Items here to be handled separately? Item 1. Any others? Hearing none others, all in favor of approving the remainder of that report, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The report has been approved with the exception of item 1.
The clerk would just note the abstention on 4.
Alder Johnson notes his abstention on item 4. And your wishes on item 1, Alder Johnson?
Yeah, I think this was the city website was down last week, and so some of us were relying exclusively on what John was able to present, and he did a really great job. I think with what he had, it's there's a lot of changes, and there's no imminent rush to have to approve this. So I think I would like to see us just hold it so that we can really contemplate some of the long-term impact of some of these things. As I mentioned to John at the meeting, 90% of it, love it. 10%, I just wanted a little bit more contemplation around the impact, but more importantly, maybe ensuring that we've engaged appropriately stakeholders that could potentially be impacted by this. So maybe I would just perhaps ask the question of staff. Sometimes when we make certain changes, we might reach out to the Home Builders Association or other partners. Just curious if you had an opportunity to do any outreach with organizations that might be impacted by some of the changes.
So before this was heard at Plan Commission, we have routine monthly meetings with staff and the Brown County Home Builders, so they were notified, and there was a presentation there. There was some of the folks who were stakeholders during the comp plan update who we spoke with, including realtors, folks from the Equal Rights Commission, NeighborWorks, Habitat, Apartments Association, and I believe that's I learned about it then, say Monday last week, when had some calls to reach out about this.
Okay, it's great to hear. Thank you. So again, I just wanted to pull it because I'm sure some folks may have some questions at least, but that was the primary thing that I wanted to sort of hear in my comments. Of course, still ring true that I think 74 changes. Is that right?
Yeah. 93.
93. Okay. I think anytime that you're rewriting a code with that many changes, I do think it warrants good discussion, thoughtful decision making, making sure that we know everything that we're voting on. So,
Mr. Buck.
Thank you, Mayor. I also wanted to take note that a lot of the recommendations that for these changes came out of our housing study and other studies that were done. The Realtors Association has a really great manual on housing reform. And then also, I just wanted to point out, this is just the first reading, so you wouldn't have to hold it. You could advance it, and you still have a second reading. I just wanted to point that out. Right. And that some of the other sources weren't just individual, but they were other documents that had public input as well.
Thank you for that.
And I didn't make a motion on purpose, Mayor, in case I didn't want people to debate a hold, right? I want them to debate the item.
Sure. Other comments on this item? There's no motion on the floor. Any other comments? Yes, Alder Hutchison.
In the Plan Commission, there were several alders in attendance, and there has been a discussion on these changes. I'm just a little bit worried that if we just hem and haw on this, that it loses its momentum. I'm all in favor of voting for this right now because nothing big came up that was unsolvable at the Plan Commission. We were introduced to every change was put on the board. We could see it. There was discussion. So I think at the committee level there was discussion and interest. There were several people who got up in favor of it. So I'm a little bit concerned that there's a notion of delaying this because I'm all in favor of approving it tonight. Thank you.
Any other comments, Alder Presley?
I'd like to introduce an amendment to this. Small amendment to section 44-559. Wait, do we need an approval before I can do an amendment?
No, I think it'd be appropriate to add an amendment.
Okay. So for this section on maximum impervious surface coverage, I talked with staff about this. I know there were some comments brought up about increasing the amount of impervious surface that we can have on a lot in all of the different zoning districts. So what John helped me came up with was 50% of any zoning lot located in the R1 with a lot size of 7,501 square feet or more would be the impervious surface maximum, and 60% of any zoning lot located in the R1 with a lot size of 7,500 square feet or less. So the rationale behind that would be preserving that 50% impervious surface maximum for lots where they're not so small as to have that constrain the opportunity to build on that lot. And for those smaller lots, increasing the amount to what was originally recommended. Those, small urban lots where there's not a lot of room to have grass, to have gardens, whatever it may be, that decreases the impervious surface. So that would be my suggestion for an amendment.
Second. Seconded by Alder Johnson. Mr. Leroy and Mr. Buck want to decipher what Alder Presley just said?
The idea there being that we're introducing changes here that would allow for lesser setbacks and more development on lot sizes, on lots. And many of our lots that are pre-World War II and before are smaller than 7,500 square feet. And those are lots that, when it comes to impervious surface on a lot, they need to have that expansion to legitimately go through with these changes that would allow for potential more development on their lots. Now, when we get to past that 7,500 square feet, we're talking larger lot sizes. If that number were to expand to 60% on, say, a half-acre lot, that could mean that you'd have potentially 13,000 square feet of impervious surface on that lot, which would be a lot of land. And we recognize if you happen to have a lot that size, you're probably looking for green space. And so it'd be a lot of impervious surface on these large lots. So based off the notion that the existing code stops at 7,500 square feet, we thought that was with the discussion brought up at Plan Commission, that this had merit to establish that line at that number, to give a balancing act to green infrastructure and to allowing for more affordable changes at lots.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on that? All right, all in favor will say aye. All right, opposed nay. You guys have it. That amendment has been approved. Entertain a motion. Motion to approve is amended, made by Alder Presley, seconded by Alder DeLee. Further comments on that? Alder Johnson.
Motion to hold until the next council meeting.
Alder Johnson makes a motion to hold until our next council meeting, seconded by Alder Grant.
Yeah, and I'm just going to reiterate, Mayor, 93 changes, guys, and Plan Commission is where the work happens, and we couldn't access the documents. So, if you want to workshop this right now, I got about 50 things that I'm going to go through, but it's not the place for this to happen. So I think there's no urgency to this. Again, I agree, face value of 90% of it, but I think for us to be patient around this many changes that could some of these can potentially have some pretty dramatic changes to our neighborhoods. And I'm not sure that many of our residents truly understand kind of what's happening here. So I do think that there's some value in us being a little bit patient, a little bit thoughtful. Nobody's trying to stop this. Nobody's trying to slow the train. We're trying to make sure that we're making the right decisions. And I do think that there are some small modifications to a few of these that I would like to explore a little bit further. So I stand behind the motion to hold. If the hold fails, I cannot vote in favor of this tonight.
Alder Prophet?
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize there wasn't information because I had Civic Clerk up at the Plan Commission and I was following along with the PowerPoint that was presented. So I guess I didn't understand what was going on with the city's website, but maybe not everyone has access to the Plan Commissions. Maybe that's something IT we could take a look at making sure, because that was up and running even though the city's website wasn't. So I think maybe that's something to look at. But the time frame doesn't change if we move forward tonight. We could always hold the second reading. I am not in favor of holding tonight. I understand and recognize, but it's I've had the opportunity to talk to staff with my questions. I was able to follow along during the commission meeting. There's a really robust PowerPoint that was provided in Plan Commission's meeting, and I have no issues with what's before me. I understand the changes that it will do to my neighborhood, and I'm comfortable and confident with those changes, because what we're talking about is developers looking at our community, making these changes and deciding to, over the winter, plan developments in our community rather than taking them elsewhere. So I see the merit and the value of moving forward with the first reading. If at second reading we're not comfortable and we still have amendments, if there was particular amendments tonight we wanted to talk about, be all in favor of that discussion. But just a general hold when we could do that at the second reading, I'm not in favor of. So I would like to move forward with at least the first reading tonight.
Thanks, Alder. Any other comments? Alder Eck?
Thank you, Mayor. I 100% agree with Alder Johnson that we should hold it so we have more time to look at it. It is a lot of changes, so I don't think it should be taken lightly. I know there was good discussion on it, but I think we need a little more time. So I would vote in favor of his amendment to, or his motion to hold it.
Thanks. Any other comments? Alder Galvin, then Grant.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm also in favor of holding it. I don't see what holding it 2 weeks is going to slow down or stop. I don't think it's going to stop anything. It sounds like the council's behind this, generally speaking, but Alder Presley's amendment right now just shows you that there are something that he needed to change and that he wanted to point out. And I wasn't able to access it like Alder Johnson was talking about. I had some other things going on that have prevented me from getting into it fully. I also have one resident that's into real estate, and he had some questions for me, and he said he was going to do his own research on it. I had another person call me and ask me how this would affect your property, and I wasn't able to give them the answer to that. I don't see what 2 weeks is going to stop. It's not like if we hold it up 2 weeks, we've got to wait another year till this thing happens. It sounds like it's happening. It's still rolling along. We're just slowing it down a bit for 2 weeks. I don't think that's too much to ask. Thank you.
Thanks, Alder. Alder Grant?
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to echo, with the city website being down, we may have access to Civic Clerk, but residents don't. And this is a lot of changes and a lot for people to take in. And I would like more time to talk to people, get feedback. I've even had residents say they haven't even been able to get through it all yet. So I don't see any issues with holding it by 2 weeks. So I'm in favor of the hold as well.
All right. Thanks, Alder. Any others? Alder Prophet?
Yeah, I'd just like to clarify with staff if that's okay, because it's actually 3 weeks till our next council meeting and then 3 weeks after that. So it's not 2 weeks, it'll be a total of 6 weeks. So I just want to ask staff if there's any reason in their mind that we should talk about this and move it through sooner from maybe a developer's perspective. Just want clarification because it will end up being 6 weeks.
Director?
That's a loaded question. Of course, we'd like to see things move forward. It'd be great if you could vote on this and then have the second reading come along so you'd have time. We could have time to answer any questions. That decision's up to you. We think it's important. We think it's time to act. But again, that's your decision.
Yeah, so again, I would just reiterate, if we hold now, then it's a 6 week time frame. If we move forward tonight, we can have actionable amendments before us and be able to move forward with those amendments. Right now, we're just talking about a hold for more discussion, which we could we could also have. So I think it's important to move forward with the timetable. There is 2 readings, so I stand by my comments.
Thanks, Alder. Anything else, Alder Johnson?
Director Neerwig, how long has the existing zoning code been in place?
I don't know. 2006.
2006, 20 years, 19 years? I think we can wait 2 more weeks. Stand behind the motion.
Thank you for the test question.
Any other comments? Yeah, Alder Hutchison.
Okay, so this hold, is it sending it back to Plan Commission then so it can be worked out? It's just a hold so it can be worked out in council?
I think it's possible a lot of these questions can be worked out directly with staff prior to council to determine if they even need to be discussed here.
So we're holding it so private conversations can occur and someone may see it and have the same question and they don't know because they're all private. I don't understand if there's a need to review everything so much. Why are we doing it independently? I mean, what's the process to me doesn't seem clear. So if an alder has a question, they can go to staff and get it answered. And then that one's solved. Is that what we're looking at before the next council meeting?
Mayor.
The question for Alder Johnson? Or, I don't know if you want to respond to that.
I mean,
guess
if it's
what's
a
the
question
process?
directed at me, I'm happy to answer. I mean, I have a list here of, no joke, probably 20, 30 things that I
Okay.
do think staff could probably answer for me directly. We can spend the time and do it right now. We'll be here a long time.
Right.
Or I can just go talk with staff directly and get answers, and probably 90% of this would be mitigated and wouldn't have to be discussed here.
So it's just coming back to council in 3 weeks.
Yes.
Okay.
As the motion stands, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Alder Grant.
And for me, I want more time to hear from residents. I don't have a lot of questions right now because I haven't had time to hear from people. It was a week ago. That's it. So and with the siping down, residents haven't had time to come to me with their concerns or feedback. I don't even know what to ask staff right now. So I can't vote on something when I haven't had adequate time to hear from my people. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, the motion on the floor is to hold this item until our next council meeting. Sure. Board vote has been requested. All right, and that passes 8-4. So we are on to the report of the Finance Committee. Motion to approve made by Alder Stevens. Seconded by Alder Hinkfist. Items here to be handled separately. Seeing none. All in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed nay. The ayes have it, and that report has been approved. Resolutions. Motion to suspend the rules and take up these items with one roll call vote made by Alder Prophet. Seconded by Alder Dooley. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed nay. The ayes have it. The rules are suspended. Motion to adopt made by Alder Prophet. Seconded by Alder Dooley. And we'll use the board.
May vote.
Go ahead.
Mayor, if the clerk could just note the abstention on item number 3. So my vote is in support of the others.
Very good.
Mr. Morgan, what is your vote?
All right, those are adopted unanimously. Ordinance's first reading. Which ones are not related? Okay. Are these all related to the zoning changes? Oh, yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I would make a motion to suspend the rules and take all of these up, and I'll explain. We just held 2 through 10 in relation to the housing ordinances, so it wouldn't make sense to advance these since that vote failed. With 1, we at our last meeting motioned to hold the Plan Commission item, which was not carried forward. Confirmation with legal, we would need to hold this until that item is brought forward to Plan Commission at our November 11th meeting. So I'd make a motion to suspend the rules first and hold all of these.
All right. Alder Prophet makes a motion to suspend the rules, take up these items with one roll call vote, seconded by Alder Eck. Yes, Alder Johnson.
Alder Prophet mentioned with item 1 that it was going to Plan Commission.
We, at our last council meeting, held the Plan Commission item, and that Plan Commission item was not back before us tonight.
Right, but it's coming back to council, not Plan Commission.
Right. The item within Plan Commission.
Yes,
That's
okay,
what
I
we're
just
missing.
wanted to verify that.
Yep, coming back to council.
thank you.
It just wasn't on this agenda. It got missed.
All right, all in favor of suspension of the rules will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The rules are suspended. Motion to hold made by Alder Prophet, seconded by Alder DeLee, to hold over to our next council meeting. All in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and those items have been held. Petitions and communications. Adjournment. Motion to adjourn made by Alder DeLee and seconded by Alder Eck. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.